Greetings to all peoples and kingdoms of Arda, and welcome to Shield Maidens of Arda. Today, we'll be looking at the 7 gates of the elven city of Gondolin. So sit back and let this Shield Maiden be your guide into the wonderful world of Middle-earth. The city of Gondolin existed in the First Age, between 116 to 510. Ruled by King Tolkien of the Northern Elves, this magnificent city was hidden in a secret valley, and protected by the powers of Ulmo, its secreted location, and the Eagles of Manwë. Much care was taken to preserve the stronghold, and to keep it unknown to those in the outside world. Any who may have happened upon the city, whether by accident or otherwise, were not permitted to leave, except in the case of the 2 human brothels, Horn and Hor, who were allowed under special circumstances. The passage into the actual city was guarded by a series of 7 gates, and it is these that we will be looking at today. They are described in great detail in Tolkien's final, unfinished version of the story of the Fall of Gondolin, as the human tour and his elven guide Rouillard pass through them. The first is the Gate of Wood. Thus they came at length to a wide arch with tall pillars upon either hand, hewn in the rock, and between hung a great porticus of crossed wooden bars, marvellously carved and studded with nails of iron. This is the Gate of Wood. It is the simplest gate, a large, bulky, unendured gate, the one that potential invaders would have to face first. Its pillars were carved directly from the mountain itself, increasing its strength and solidness. It opened by touch. Once one entered through the Gate of Wood, there was no turning back. The Gate of Stone was next. Tor saw that the way was barred by a great wall built across the ravine from side to side, with stout towers of stone on either hand. In the wall was a great archway above the road, but it seemed that masons had blocked it with a single mighty stone. As they drew near, his dark and polished face gleamed in the light of a white lamp that hung above the midst of the arch. This is interesting, as the stone is noted as being dark, instead of the usual gray that we associate stone with. In another place, it is noted that the peaks of the mountain ravine that Tor and his companion traveled through were black peaks, so perhaps the rocks in this area of the hidden valley were slate. This gate turned upon an unseen pivot, and upon entering the courtyard, Tor saw many guards dressed in grey. Here it was also that the captain of the guard that escorted Tor, a Mimarkil, brought his guests to a tower where they could rest and eat. Next came the Gate of Bronze. After a little space, they came to a wall yet higher and stronger than before, and in it was set the third gate, the Gate of Bronze, a great 2-fold door hung with shields and plates of bronze, wherein were wrought many figures and strange signs. Upon the wall above its lintel were 3 square towers, roofed and clad with copper, that by some device of smithcraft were awful bright and gleamed with fire on the rays of the red lamps, weighing like torches along the wall. It can be seen as we advance through the gates that they increase in strength, as well as the worth of the materials used in the building of the gates. The guards for this gate were clad in armor that glowed like dull fire, and they had red-bladed axes, an unusual choice of weapon for an elf. It is noted that the kindred of the Sindar of Neferest made up the most part of this guard. The path grows more difficult and steep as Tor, Rouillard, and their guards continue. The walls around them seem to loom down menacingly as they continue up this path, named the most toilsome road, to the next gate, the Gate of Wood and Iron. This was by far the most intricate gate among the 7. The surface of this gate was made up of 3 grill-like surfaces, which created a beautiful illusionary picture for the one who approached it. But as Tor stood before the gate, it seemed to his wonder that he was looking through boughs and stems of imperishable trees into the pale glade of the moon, for a light came through the traceries of the gate, which were wrought and hammered into the shapes of trees with writhing roots and woven branches laden with leaves and flowers. And as he passed through, he saw how this could be, for the wall was of great thickness, and there was not 1 grill, but 3 in line, so set that to one who approached in the middle of the way, each formed part of the device, but the light beyond was the light of day. The rest of the gate was not missing in ornamentation. The wall itself was tall and black, suggesting again that the walls of the tunnel were made up of some sort of black stone. 4 towers of stone stood on the wall, and in the very middle of the towers there was an image of a great eagle, perhaps commemorating the eagles of Manwë that patrolled the skies above Gondolin. The guards who were assigned to this gate were helmeted with visors that bore an eagle's beak. It seemed that the most toilsome road leveled out into a more open and easy path after the Gate of Wood and Iron. The fifth gate, the Gate of Silver, was preceded by green swaths of grass on either side of the path where grew white flowers, and the sides of the ravine became broader and white snow lay on its shoulders. The Gate of Silver was built of marble, and was low and broad, and its parapet was a trellis of silver between 5 great globes of marble, and there stood many archers robed in white. The gate was in shape as 3 parts of a circle, and wrought of silver and pearl of netherless, and likeness of the moon. But above the gate upon the midmost globe stood an image of the white treetop Helion, wrought of silver and malachite, with flowers made of great pearls of bala. This gate opened into a wide courtyard, and there were the guards of the gate, archers of silver mail and white-crested helms. This courtyard led by a straight path to the 6th gate, the Gate of Gold. This was much like the Gate of Silver in its manner of construction, save that the wall was built of yellow marble, and the globes and parapet were of red gold, and there were 6 globes, and in the midst upon a golden pyramid was set an image of Lorraine, the tree of the sun, with flowers wrought of topaz and long clusters upon chains of gold. And the Gate of Silver was adorned with discs of gold, many-rayed, and likeness of the sun, set amid devices of garnet and topaz and yellow diamonds. The guards of the Gate of Gold had a gilded mare with tall golden plumes on their helmets and round shields red as flame. It is interesting how these last 3 gates were ornamented with images of 3 great symbols of the Valor and of Valinor, the eagles of Merway, the treetop Helion, and the tree Lorraine. It is as if Tolkien is paying tribute to his rightful lords, to those who protected him and his city. The last gate, the 7th, was the Gate of Steel. No wall stood there, but on either hand were 2 round towers of great height, many-windowed, tapering in 7 stories to a torrent of bright steel, and between the towers there stood a mighty fence of steel that rusted not, but glittered cold and white. 7 great pillars of steel there were, ending in a bitter spike that rose to the sharpness of a needle, and between the pillars were 7 crossbars of steel, and in each space 7 times 7 bars of steel upright, with hairs like the broad blades of spears. But in the center, above the midmost pillar and the greatest, was raised a mighty image of the keen helm of Turgon, the crown of the hidden kingdom, set about with diamonds. Upon reaching this gate, Ecthelion, warden of the great gate and lord of the fountain, was summoned by a touch upon one of the bars of the gate. This caused the entire fence to ring like a harp of many strings, giving forth clear notes in harmony that ranged from tower to tower. The gate itself was opened inward on either side of the pillar of the crown, and the company was admitted. These were the 7 Gates of Gondolin, and they indeed were splendid tributes to the glory of the elven city. But if we look closer, we can see hidden in these magnificent structures the very morals and themes of the story of the fall of this great elven realm. For those who are into numerology, and especially biblical numerology, the number 7 will be recognized as the number of completeness. Today it is known as a lucky number. Either way, it is a desirable number, one that means wholeness and prosperity. There were 7 gates of Gondolin when Tor entered into the city, but for a long time there were only 6. It was only after the Battle of Unnumbered Tyr, the 9th on Noriad, that the elf Maeglin, the son of the dark elf Eor, built the 7th gate, the Gate of Steel. Maeglin was an elf of deep bitterness and cold manner. He had been raised in the sunless forests of Nan Elmoth. His mother was the sister of Turgon, king of Gondolin, but she desired light and a better life than the exiled one her husband forced upon them in the woods. She and her son left Nan Elmoth in secret one day and traveled to Gondolin, where they were pursued and found by Eor. According to the laws of Gondolin, none who entered the hidden kingdom were allowed to leave, but Eor spoiled the king's law and was given a choice, to stay in Gondolin eternally or to die. The same choice was given to his son, Maeglin. Enraged and humiliated, Eor declared death for himself and his son, and sought to kill Maeglin with a poisoned javelin. But his mother, Redhill, stepped into her son's path and was struck and killed. Eor was sentenced to death the following day by being thrown over the edge of the parapet. Before his death, he cursed his son, saying that Maeglin would share in his fate. Maeglin lived in the realm of Gondolin and became famed as a stone carver and a builder, but his heart was already dark and treacherous, and here, in this last final gate, what he must have saw as the completion of Gondolin's defenses, we see a foreshadowing of not only Maeglin's doom, but the doom of the whole of the city. The Gate of Steel was the only of the gates to be made of something other than pure materials. It was an alloy, an alliance of iron and carbon. It is the strongest of alloys, but it is still an alloy. It is not pure and solid gold or silver or wood or bronze. It is an alliance. In this we see the heart of Meglin's thoughts. He was selfish, he wanted certain things, and he would stop at naught to gain them. He was horribly jealous of Tor, for in his mind Tor had stolen the right to the throne from him by his marriage to the king's daughter Idril. For Meglin wished to marry Idril, and even now, when Tor had already wedded the elven maiden, he still lusted for her and wished to have her. He would stop at nothing to gain that, even if it meant fortune and alliance with Morgoth himself. A strong alliance it might seem, with the most powerful of the Dark Lords that Arda would ever know, an alliance that would at last bring to completeness all of Meglin's dreams and desires. Meglin was taken by orcs one day when he was out seeking metals, under direct defiance of Tolkien's orders to stay within the mountain, and in exchange for his life, he offered to betray the city of Gondolin. He was taken to Angband, and there he told Arda Morgoth. In return, he was promised the wall of Gondolin in the hand of Idril in return for such treachery. But neither came to fruition, as Tor rightly defeated the elf and threw him over the edge of the wall in the manner his father had predicted. So ended Meglin and his alliance. Alliances in and of themselves certainly have their uses, if the alloy is good and the motive right. But no alloy, no compromise can be made when the truth is at stake. Only the pure can be used to defend and preserve our families and the great virtues we were meant to live by. The sheer power and might of men cannot be our sole trust. We need a higher power, and must not seek to alloy that power with something of lesser moral principle. No matter how strong that alloy may seem, no matter how much we may be tempted to raise and elevate the sheer might of men and crown our achievements and our efforts with symbols of man's power, it will ultimately fail if we have not the pure and the true at our side. We all have our Gondolins, and if we are not guarding it with what all the earth was meant to be cut by, we will fall even as Gondolin did. Thank you for joining with me today through the Word of Arda. Please like this video, subscribe to Shield Maidens, and join us again so we can explore more of Middle Earth together. Namaste.